and welcome. I just finished taking a shower, so wearing my bathrobes. Room's a bit messy. Got some clothes over here in the corner and cyberlogs on my TV. Now, in order to get this to work proper, and I'm gonna put on underwear while I'm recording this, so I can't tilt the camera down. So the way I'm working this is that because my camera app doesn't let me go to other apps while I'm recording, I needed to boot up my PS4 and use the web browser to get onto Pastebin to view my cyber logs, and just work it from there. So it's kind of ironic that I'm putting my pants on when Grease is about to take his off. So let's get down to business. I'm gonna put up my bathrobe, get to reading. So this is from Masatsu Realms on the first wipe, the only wipe, I'm pretty sure, that was actually successful in any capacity, and even then this one ended prematurely, I'm pretty sure, and didn't have a good conclusion. So the players in this game are Frisbee Zeppeli, played by Greasebone, and Shinobu, played by Silent Kunai. Brushing my hair. So let's go ahead and get down to this. So I'm gonna read out Grease's voice in a deep manly tones, because I'm sure that's what he imagined Frisbee Zeppeli, the clown man, bada bada no me on the dick, sounds like. No, I'm going to fuck you, and then I'm going to walk out that door and train like nothing ever happened. I'm gonna be the best damn Ripple user there ever was. Frisbee Zeppeli chuckle snorts. I'm kinda relieved. I honestly didn't think that you were that kind of girl. And sometimes I'm gonna paraphrase things because I fuck up reading it, but my mind fills in the blanks. Anyway. If my flame's gonna burn out, then I might as well have some fun first, eh? Shinobu crosses her arms and ponders for a bit. Her tail whooshes from the left to the right. She shrugs her shoulders and asks him one last thing. A small smile appears on her lips, before it fades away into a normal expression. You're as silly as me. She reaches for the tip of her tops and slides it down, exposing her bosom to him. It kind of bounces free from the rather tight clothing she's been using for a while. Her expression softens up for a bit. There's a bit of OOC stuff of them grabbing Chi, I'm pretty sure, or Chigiri, whoever that might be. And then Frisbee Zeppeli hurries to snap the lone button of his overalls off. He holds back a laugh at her sentiment. Their relationship was very, very bizarre. Get it? Is that a fucking JoJo's reference? And it was about to get even weirder. What can I say? Frisbee's stylish overalls drop to the floor, and he steps out of them while lazily scratching the back of his head. The clown eyes her breasts with a curious grin, and the bottom of his loose t-shirt is drawn up slightly by the growing length beneath it. Do me a favor, he says. Suddenly, his shirt ruffles, and he grabs his cock at the base and gently slaps it against the palm of his other hand. He was pretty fucking hunk for someone so humble and unassuming. But then again, that was all just a facade, wasn't it? He was a pretender, a sham. Did she honestly think that this was his first time? Hold this for me. Damn, Grease. Kunai slowly lowered more of her tops, sliding off her Sarasha-like dress until her whole rather slim and well-built torso could be shown to him. She didn't hold any shame in exposing her body. The kitsune slowly made her way over to him, holding her hand to grab at his meat, sliding one index across the shaft before gently closing her hand on it. She leans on the man she once admired due to how determined to change he was. But as vile thing such as a yokai ? She wouldn't give two fucks of what she done. Wait, what? You know, she slowly pulls her hand back and forth on it. Her hand was a bit hotter than before. It's kind of unassuming when one is not in the mood, but I'll do it for you. She exhales the white cold fog from her lips before whispering to him. Need I remind you, this isn't a desert. Why does she have fog coming from her lips? Chuckles and rolls his eyes. Sheesh, you're chatty. Relax, we've got a long day ahead of us tomorrow. We've still got to make the world green, eh? The tall blonde pushes Shinobu's head down, pressing the tip of his engorged cock to his cheek. Loosen up! He says with a warm smile just before his body splits in half. Frisbee's upper torso floats behind Shinobu and bends her over. He admires her backsides and gives a rough squeeze. Frisbee was already a man, but he wasn't quite as a pelly man. Not yet. The clown gingerly slides the lower half of her dress forward, allowing it to ride up. His masterful hand creases down the kunai's plush cheeks and gingerly slides between her legs, grazing the woman's soft crevice over her garments. The cold breath sends a shiver up his spine, but he works his hands all the same. You're my partner, after all. Bara no mi, on the dick, ladies and gentlemen. Silent Kunai, Shinobu pouted while a harsh comment on her. His member was poking against her cheek in a rather rough way as she was brought to her knees. The kitsune closed one of her eyes, a bit disturbed, for a second refusing to continue. He could notice that her smooth and calm behavior, she was still quite tense, worried. She was doing her best not to let these things out, though any Haman user could easily detect that things were simply feeling the other party's respiratory frequency. Deep inside, she was afraid that the person she knew was gone, but those worries loosen up with his last line and smile. Even if those were fake or to further deceive the yokai, she opens her mouth, sticking her tongue out. A small drip of saliva flows down her cheek as she wears this whorish expression, hungering for his dick. Her hand slides to the base, and she moves her mouth to close the tip. Frisbee Zeppeli's cock throbs when Shinobu sticks her tongue out. Go ahead, you know you want it. He carefully draws the kitsune's panties down and brings his finger to her gash. Wait a minute. Frisbee playfully draws the figure towards him, running it along the warm fold. The blonde draws a short breath and slowly drills a finger inside of her. His long digits digs her nethers out as she wiggled it around enthusiastically, like a child with a new toy. Oh yeah, it's definitely a new toy for you, Grease. With a welcoming smile on his face, he lowers his head to the kitsune's slip and roughly prods his tongue like some hungry mongrel. One of his arms pop off and drifts forward. It grabs the side of her mouth and playfully tugs it wider as encouragement. You're not gonna get it all down like that. Show some enthusiasm. You said you'd give it your all, didn't you, Shinobu? Holy fuck. She's going AFK the entire time. She's not giving a fuck about this. Gets her panties removed as she was left down on 4. What? This was going to boil down into something she'd never experienced before. The most bizarre sexual adventure. She gasps as she feels the man's fingers playing a bit on her slit, driving and drawing around her lips. Gotta lean forward a bit here. She couldn't feel anything but a weird pleasure from it, enough to make it come slightly moist from her love juices. Ah! She receives his fingers inside her. Her insides were as warm and fleshy as he could imagine. The trial begins as she gets played with from behind while having to please his other half, which is forward. Grease, you got Bara no Mi, and you decide that the best way to use this power is to double team a girl by yourself? Alright, bud. as his hand comes to further open her mouth, she just pushes her own head forward, gobbling down on his dick as she gags a little bit on it. Before starting... Oh, fuck, I gotta get into this. Before she starts bobbing her head back and forth on his warm member in a steady motion, it reaching down deep in her throat and out, without time for her to breathe. Each small choked cough, she'd produce more saliva, as well as get more and more wet. Zappelli's thumb stretches Shinobu's sopping wet slit, spreading it wide for his tongue to lap over it. Frisbee's chin brushes up against a small tuft of fur between her legs as he messily eats her out. His hot breath falls on the kitsune's exposed womanhood as he cocks his head back up to lick her clit. An audible clap reverberates through the room when Frisbee administers a rough slap to her rear, reddening the woman's soft flesh. The floating hand does its work as well, grabbing at the back of Kitsune's head and pushing it down further along his length, partially filling her throat as her face was mashed down onto his own small tuft of blonde pubic hair. Each time Shinobu goes down, he presses harder, giving her an increasingly massive mouthful. His treatment has become so rough that snot was actively dripping from her nose. "Where do you want it?" asked Frisbee with a sensual growl. Shinobu raised her head back while yelping. Her mouth was shut tight by the dick. By the dick inside it. The man's floating hands were keeping her body in check. The brute and rude way she was being treated, his lack of love towards her, it all hurt. Her feelings were being slammed against with a fat cock over and over. It wouldn't take long for the kitsune to become a bit more limp, her eyes rolling on the top of her head. At moments she couldn't take a second to breathe. She was unable to answer him. All she could do would be appreciate and become more and more needy. For a second, it would seem that she was losing her strength, but that just made her clamp and suck on his dick harder, still moving her head while trying to follow his rough rhythm. She was really determined to drain semen from his manhood. Frisbee sighs and rips his cock clean of her mouth, leaving it gaping, salivating, wanting. He could feel her heartbeat, the quickening, but also the breaking. "What am I gonna do with you, Shinobu?" asked Frisbee. It sounded a bit like him, the Frisbee she admired, the man that was tender and soft, gentle even. She'd feel herself being lifted up and placing now on his reconnected stomach, legs spread wide. The man's dick had a strange sway to it. It curved upward towards her needy slit, grazing along it softly as he adjusted his back. "It wasn't all a lie," he whispers. As she goes to speak, Frisbee wraps an arm around her and cranes his neck beside her, kissing her, the emotionally fragile kitsune, and filling her mouth with his powerful tongue. This was bizarre. Most men wouldn't have kissed her after face fucking her so roughly. But there were two sides to Frisbee. A hand cups the kitsune's heavy breath, kneading into it, skillfully extending their embrace. Beads of pre-cum rolled down his aching shaft. It pulls in the kitsune's belly button and slowly slides down her stomach onto her quivering sex. It was hard to discern the truth from the lies, but this kiss was real. That was something that he'd anticipated. Frisbee slowly jerks his cock and bites the kitsune's ear, tugging on it like her poor heart. He wasn't what any of them expected. He was a bit more complex than that. Miles and Alseth, played by Vaxel. "Hello!" Shinobu is being banged. Help. Omit. Frisbee shrugs. Bit of OOC talk. And last RP. Shinobu was left there for a second, on 4, unable to speak, but finally able to breathe. The subject was vengeful lewd work, coughing and hacking, she limped forward slightly. Since when they began until their current moment, she didn't say a single word, just kept their ears on them. Then she was lifted and put on her back. She was broking, or faking it. Most likely the former, due to the fame those mystical furries beings have for deceiving pests in existence. And then a kiss was applied to her mouth, but she reacted poorly. Her expression shifted to what could be described as disgust. While he had all the freedom to play with her exposed breasts, the fox was covered in sweat, breathing heavily, after pulling away from the kiss, and when the man was about to slip in her meat for a good meat and milk delivery, but then, holy fucking shit, out of nowhere more people spawned in as if the fox and the clown were in the middle of the room in the spooky house of jump scares. The fox opened her eyes and stared at them like, what? Alright. That's about all I have to say. There's a bit of OOC talk that I skipped. Fuck you.